Hey everyone, I'm here today to tell you a story about something that I saw in the sky. And I'm not a person that believes in this stuff. I'll tell you right up front, I wasn't one of those people. Anybody starts talking that stuff, I say, I'm out of here, whatever. But anyway, you listen, and you can tell me what it was. But I'm going to give you enough information that you'll say, okay, I see what you're talking about. But this story started, as with a lot of my stories, I was out hunting one night, me and the boys. It's always me and the boys. But, and we were out on the ridge line, and the dogs had run off again, believe it or not, on some kind of off game. And we were coon hunting. But the dogs were hunting for whatever they came across. They weren't on board with this, we're just going to run coon only stuff. They would run whatever they come across. Most of the time. They would just do what they wanted to do. But we're bouncing around out there, and I said, boys, let me out of the truck. I'm not bouncing around chasing these dogs. So they let me out. And they let me out at the forks of a road there, where the roads kind of met up, right on top of the ridge. It was one of the highest places in the area. You could look and see everywhere. And it was a real bright night. And I get down, and I build me up a fire. Because I know they're going to be gone half the night. So I build me up a big fire. And I'm sitting there looking around, looking at the sky. You can see all the stars. One of the benefits about living out in a rural area, where there's not a lot of city, the lights well, they're not around, so they don't inhibit your ability to see the sky. You can see the stars, you can see everything. And a lot of times you'll find yourself out at night, hunting or whatever, and you'll be looking at the sky. You know, you're looking, oh, there's the Big Dipper, there's the Little Dipper, there's, you know, you're just going through the, and it's an amazing thing. And certain times of the year, you'll see a lot of shooting stars, but that there's worth hunting. At night, it really is, to just see that. But anyway, we had that big fire, or I had that big fire built, and I got me. It rained a couple days before, and the wood was kind of wet, so it's slow getting it going. But I grabbed a big log, and I was feeding that log into that fire, and I had another log here that I was sitting on, so I'm about 3 or 4 foot away from the fire, and the fire was popping and cracking around. You know, it was wet wood. Pine. And I looked, and here come my dog. He come to me. He wasn't a bad dog to run off game, or junk as they call it. And I put him on the lead chain and tied him up. And his name was Sport. That's what we called him, Sport. But on he was a registered treat and walker. On his papers, he was called Super Sport. But we didn't call him Super Sport. He was just Sport. Come on, Sport. But he was a ghost head walker. He was red, like a red back through here. You know, he had a big black blanket on his back. But from right here up was gray. It's kind of scary looking, come think of it. Now, he was a tough animal. He was a tough dog. Anything that he went up against, he won. He was a killer machine. Let's just leave it at that. And I could, if I said, get him, Sport, he was on. It was over. But anyway, he comes, so I tied him up. And it's just me and him sitting there. He's sitting there just looking around or whatever. And all of a sudden that fire started to hiss. Like it was going to pop. That's what it sounded like. And Sport started growling. And, you know, he didn't growl at just anything. Another dog maybe, so I'm looking, you know, around, see what I see another dog. And about that time, a shadow came over top of me. And me and him both looked up, you know. And I'm sitting there. And the sound, the hissing sound that the wood was making wasn't the wood. It was the sound this thing was making. And it wasn't moving real fast, but it was, you know, it wasn't like a fighter plane or nothing like that. But it just went, and it went like it right there. there was no loud noise or, you know, like a fighter plane. You go to an air show, it's, you know, they're going through there and making all this racket or whatever. No, no, no. There was nothing like that. There wasn't a big blow of dust or whatever. There was a little bit of wind. I felt wind. Now, whether it come off it, I don't know. There was a little bit of wind, and the fire was, you know, flickering. And this thing come over. It had no lights, nothing coming out of the back of it, no, you know, exhaust or anything, nothing. It looked like propelling it. And it was shaped like a boomerang. That's what it was shaped like. And the back, you know, the front was kind of like this, you know, it was like this right here. And the back was kind of a little bit jaggedy looking. And the colors on it was like light gray, dark gray, light gray. And they were different widths and stuff. It was an odd looking thing. And like I said, we're at one of the higher points, higher places on the mountain chain. And it come through there and it just rolled up and rolled out through there and like was following the valley down through there. And it went out through there and it kind of got out of sight over the next mountain range, went out through there, and it looked like it turned left-handed. Now, I don't know if it's coming back or what. And Sport, he's still growling around. But he's not looking up or nothing. He's looking over this way, the way that it come from. And that did not make me feel good. Because if he growls, there's something there. So I unhooked him from the log and hooked him on my belt loop on the lead chain. He was pulling, wanting to go into the woods. And then, like I said, it's a bright night. You can see good without any light on. And all I had that night to protect myself, other than Sport, was this Army knife. I had this Army knife, which is just a plain old run-of-the-mill Army knife. And I carried this thing forever in the mountains. And, but I had this knife, and I had a 38 Smith & Wesson with a 4-inch barrel with hollow points, filled with hollow points. And that's what I had. So it's me, the pistol, the knife, and old Super Sport against whatever he's barking at in the woods. As far as I was concerned, you know, I didn't know what it was, but I had connected it with what I saw go over my head. And I'm sitting there listening. I don't hear anything. And looking into the woods, it's just a dark area back in there. And, you know, once you come out into the clear, you can see. And this is one of those times that you got to stand. There is nowhere to run to. You know, you're in the woods. And I'd rather know where the problem is than run off and not know. And, you know, you might run into whatever the problem is. As far as I was concerned, whatever was in the woods was connected to the thing that just went over my head. And it looked otherworldly to me. It did. I know it sounds crazy. But anyway, Sport's sitting there growling. And he started barking, you know, getting real vicious. I mean, if you've got dogs, you can tell when they're just barking out the door or just barking or whatever, or if a stranger's at the door. Well, there was a stranger at our door. And me and him are standing there, and all I'm thinking about is they're not going to take me. They're not taking old Dad here. Mr. Jack is going to walk out of here. That was the plan. To say I was scared is an understatement, because I figured I could kill anything that come over on Noah's Ark. But now stuff that comes off of that thing that just went over my head, I wasn't sure. You know, I was a young man. I didn't know. But I done made my mind up that this moment was our moment, me and Sport, to stand. Because there was no other option. And the way I had it figured is, I'm at 50 foot, I could hit about anything I was pretty accurate. 75 foot, not so much. It has to be awful big. And anything, you know, I know it sounds crazy. You watch all the movies and stuff, we got these little big-eyed dudes running around. They didn't look all that big. So I knew I had to wait, whatever it was. When it come out of the tree line, it's going to come my way just a little bit before I could start giving out the lead tablets. And I had 6 of them. Is all I had. And it's not. And that's my position I was in. And like I said, Sports are growling. He'd bark every once in a while. He's wanting to go in on it. And I said, man, I'm keeping you here. You're the last, you and this knife's going to be the last line of defense. Because I'm going to shoot these 6 bullets. And they're going to be 6 whatevers. Or maybe 1 whatever. I don't know. But they're going to be 6 pieces of meat or whatever they're made out of laying there. Whether you come in peace, I'm going to take a few pieces of you. That's the way I was thinking. But anyway, we're standing there. And I am all to pieces. I mean, I'm getting jacked up thinking about it now. I'm ready to go in. But anyway, he's sitting there. And I'm not about to turn him loose. Because, like I said, I need him close to me. If it comes to, like I said, I ain't going to let him take me. That's the plan. If I have to, I'll let him go in on first. After I done shot them all up. He'll go in. Any of them gets past him, I'm going to shove this up its crunkles as far as I can get it. But anyway, that's the plan. And then, I might run. I don't know. I hadn't got it that far. But I was ready to do battle. That's where I stood. I didn't have a choice. When you're in this situation, you are not chosen. It just happens. But it was my time to stand. And that's what we was doing. We was standing. We're sitting there. Nothing's coming. Nothing's coming. He's still barking. And after about 2 minutes of this, I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. I turned on my light. I had a light on my head, and I clicked that light on. And I'm scanning over through there. And I don't see nothing. And I'm, every once in a while I'd look around behind me, but I'm looking around. And I am freaking out, to say the least. And I'm still looking at the sky, I'm, doing all this stuff, forgetting to breathe. You name it. It was going on. But I'm sitting there. And so I decided to turn him loose. And I said, I got to have some relief here, people. I'm going to turn him loose. Let him go in. When he starts tearing it up, whatever it is, I'm going to back him up. And start dishing out the lead tablets. But anyway, I turn him loose. And I'm ready, boys. Well, I had like it's right here. And I got that 22 or at 38 like it's right here. He goes out there. And he jumps at the ground like it's right here. And it took off. It was a chipmunk, what he was barking at. And here I am, I'm ready to start laying the lead down. He is lucky I didn't put a hole in him. And whew, I pull this gun back. And I'm sitting there trying to work this out. So I have to go to the woods to look. He's off chasing the chipmunk. He run up through there and he come right back to me. He's fine. I walk over to the woods and he's smelling around down in there. Nothing. That's a huge relief to me. Because I didn't want to do battle with something that come out of that thing that went over my head. But anyway, I still wasn't satisfied. Because I still had the problem with that thing that went over my head. What was that? So, I walked around there a little while, looking, listening, looking at the sky, listening, nothing. And this was in like 1985, 86, somewhere in there. And the boys come eventually. And I asked them, I said, y'all hear anything? Y'all see anybody out there? I didn't tell. No way. No, we didn't see nobody. They said, we see you got your dog. I said, yeah, I got him. Whatever. Me and him's been right here. Whatever. So, when it was all said and done, we got in the truck. I put the fire out, loaded the dogs up. I didn't say a word. And I'm thinking, all the way home. Went home, put the stuff up, thought about it. I sat down and I drew a picture of what I saw. And, I'm working this out. But I'll tell you this much. I never set foot in that part of the woods again. To this day, I've not been there. And you can do the math. It's 2023 to 1985. I've not been back to that particular area. But I did see something a few years later that I said, that could be it. I really did. And I was watching TV, whatever, and I saw one of them stealth bombers that came over, or that they were filming, and it was a show about them or whatever. And I said, you know what? That looks a whole lot like what I saw. But then I said, you know, what is that thing doing in the Appalachian Mountains in that time period? Then I said, you know, they were probably just running through there. It's a rural area. Nobody's going to see it. We can test it out and whatever. I don't know, you know, that's not my department. But for that brief moment, as far as I was concerned, it come from some other planet or some other world. I didn't know where it come from. And I didn't know what was in the woods. And for that moment, it was me against them, they, it, whatever you want to call it. I was the line between civilization on Earth and these creatures or creature, whatever it was. And I know you said that's a crazy story, but I'm telling you, it's the gospel truth if I've ever told a story. But I hope you enjoyed it. And next time I'll tell you another story, always a true story, and always humorous. They're always funny. But anyway, the chipmunk was the problem. He was the alien life form, a little ground squirrel. But there you go. We'll have you another story ready to go here in a few days. Thank you.